Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy J-Rock. Today I'm gonna be hitting you with another graphic novel review. Today we're gonna be reviewing X-Factor Epic Collections, Volume 8. This is called X-Animator. This collects issues 84 to 100. Now, this does some double dipping because 84, 85, 86 are included in the X-Cutioner song storyline. That was a storyline that I believe it had 3 X-Factor issues, 3 X-Men, and 3 X-Force. So those we're not gonna talk about those issues. I'm gonna leave them out. I'll talk about those when we do the X-Cutioner song review, which I'll eventually get to. I should have done the review of that first and then this, because this is what leads after. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna skip issues 84, 85, 86. We're gonna review issue 87 to 91. So we're gonna do like a two-parter, and then on the second part I'll do issue 92 to 100. So it'll be like half and half, so that this video won't run too long. You feel me? So, all right, now issue 87, 88, 89, and 91 are also included in the Fatal Attraction storyline, but they're very much standalone. You could read them separately, so I'm gonna not include them in the Fatal Attraction storyline. I'll do that review after this one. I'll probably get to reading those, but on those, I'm gonna leave these X-Factor issues out on my Fatal Attractions review. So this issue starts off as like they're seeing a psychiatrist, the whole X-Factor squad, because what happened is it includes these issues here of the X-Cutioner song, but it only includes the X-Factor ones. So we'll talk about that story later, like I said, but you get a vague idea of what happened with the X-Factor one issues. And so they're going to psychiatrist to assess a shrink, because this could leave you traumatized and so forth. How are you guys dealing with it, so forth? So this doctor's, it ends up at the beginning, it doesn't show you who it is, but it ends up being Doc Sampson. He's a psychiatrist in the shrink of the Marvel Universe, if you will. He has green hair, he's big, he's buff. I believe he's in the whole comic books as his main title that he appears in. So he's interviewing each member and of the X-Factor squad and their securities and so forth. Talks to Wolfsbane. Something happened. It says, refers to issue 71 to know what happened, why she's angry. She can't turn back into a human because she could go from human to werewolf. So she's boy crazy at this time. She's a teenager, but she looks like a werewolf, so none of the boys are gonna like her. So she's dealing with that. He introduced Guido, introduced everybody. The one that was kind of interesting to me was the Quicksilver, because Quicksilver touches on he goes, I move so fast, yeah, slowpokes. So you know how frustrating that could be. He goes, think about being in a market when the line's taking forever, or at a drive-through and you're like, oh, the line doesn't move. He goes, well, that's how my whole life is. He goes, you know how those people could get cranky and impatient, and they could turn into assholes down the road? Well, that's how my whole life is. All of you all move slow. I gotta slow down and wait for everybody to catch up. So it gets frustrating. That's why I'm a dick all the time, right? So that was kind of interesting when we made the discovery with him. Doc Sampson did, the psychiatrist, and us as the reader, we made the discovery with him. We're like, that's why he's like that. That makes sense, because these things do happen. You do get like, oh, like, when you're in line at a store, you're like, oh, like, is the line still not moving? So that was, I like that touch, and he shows a picture of a snail, which is kind of funny. Now we got this character named Miss Cooper. Think of her as the Professor Xavier of the team, like the coach or whatever, right? She works for the government, and the X-Factor is like an X-Men team, but they work for the government, so they do it like in a legal way where the government kind of backs their play, as opposed to the X-Men where the government's kind of against them a lot of the time. So the psychiatrist, Doc Sampson, he's interviewing her now. How good do you know your squad? How good do you know your crew? And it's funny because everything you have to read the book, because every question they ask her, she answers it completely the opposite. Like she really doesn't know her team members at all. So it shows how distant she is from them. Now, what's important about this issue is the ending. When she walks away, this squid-looking mutant thing captures her. So you're left in a cliffhanger, like, oh shit, what happened here? Right? She's been like this creature took over her body. So from this issue on, it's not her. It's this creature in her body. So she's gonna be doing a lot of shady bullshit, and you're gonna be wondering why. You're gonna realize that you gotta remember it's not her, it's somebody else. On issue 88, we get introduced to a new character, Random. He's new at this time. I believe this is his first appearance. I hope he gets more play down the road in the comics or even in maybe a TV show or something. He's kind of cool. I feel he still has a lot of room to grow. They don't do a lot with him. But anyways, he's basically kind of like a mercenary. The government pays him to take out this team called the X-Patriots, We'll touch on them later on the previous books. They're a team that X-Factor was helping. They try to escape Genosha. X-Factor kind of helps them, and they're going back to Genosha. But when he gets paid here, he's going over there. He's smashing on all of them. It's his first appearance to kind of show how badass he is, and or to show how weak the X-Patriots are. The whole crew couldn't even take on him. He took him out real quick. So then Havoc shows up to help them, and he goes, "You know what? I got no beef with the X-Patriots. I'm just doing what I get paid for." And then Havoc tells him, "So you got no beef with them, so you're just doing it for money. How about I pay you more than whoever paid you to capture them?" He goes, "That'll work. That'll work real good." So Havoc writes a check. Bam. Issue's over. That was kind of quick issue. It's kind of funny, but we get introduced to the X-Patriots again, and we gotta go back to Genosha now. Genosha used to be this terrible place where they enslaved mutants, and now they're trying to do the right thing and give them their freedom and so forth. But it's not gonna come overnight, they're working at it. It's a work in progress. You got some people in Genosha that are, down with mutants. They're like, not all mutants are bad. We're trying to help them. And some, like Krillin, the president, was a dick. He's obviously a racist here. He's like, nah, fuck the mutants. They should stay as slaves. He got that type of attitude. So you got, as in regular government, you got your shady people and you got your people trying to do the right thing. And we gotta come to somewhere in the middle, right? Some type of mutual understanding. So that's what they're doing here. And as this is happening, when they're in Genosha, you find out some diseases going down where a lot of the mutants are getting this virus and dying. At the time, this virus has no name. But I believe this is gonna be what will down the road be known as the legacy virus. I'm not sure. It hasn't been revealed yet. But yeah, so a lot of these mutants have that virus, and because they did something to them to enslave them, right? Whatever thing they did to them to enslave them, along with the mutant gene, when you mix them together, it created this virus. So a lot of these mutants are dying, and it affects some, not others. Very similar to what's going on right now in 2021 with COVID, where it affects some people harder than others, because Wolfbane was brainwashed as well, and she's not dying. It didn't hit her as hard as it hit other people. So they're still trying to figure this virus out. Like, why are some mutants dying immediately? Some are not. We see the hospital here. They're explaining to the X-Factor team, look, this is what's going down. We're dealing with this virus. We can't let them leave the island or even the hospital because we don't want it to spread. It's kind of like a quarantine. I thought that was very intelligently written. While it still had humor, the book and stuff, it touched on some, especially now at the time I'm reading it, is when we're dealing with this COVID situation. So it really hit kind of close to home, something we can all relate to at this moment, something that's going down all over the world. We get to talk also to Quicksilver. He's it turns out he's married. He has a wife and a daughter, and I guess he got divorced or they broke up, separated, and here they're trying to get back together. So they're having a romantic getaway, trying to save their marriage. So it shows a different side to Quicksilver, how he's kind of trying to change. He's trying not to be a dick. But then he's like, it's hard because at the same time, my father's Magneto. No, that's who he blames it on. He obviously, judging by the way he talks about him, he doesn't like his father much, right? He's not down with Magneto. So this touches on, Quicksilver a little bit in his personal life. He's not really involved in the superhero stuff here. He's working on himself. And I thought that was cool, giving some character development. It's at the end of the day, every comic book has fight scenes and so forth. What separates the characters one from another is their personal lives, right? That's what makes you root for one or another. What they're doing in when they're not at work, right? When they're not busy saving the world. So that was cool right there. And you get this person trying to, he knows it's Magneto's son, so he knows I could bring the bad in him. He's a bad mutant, and they're trying to put him in a situation so he could get pissed off, so then they can say, you see how mutants are, right? It's just like a setup. So that's interesting how they're doing that with him. I don't want to give too much away as non. And we have this other quick scene of 3 pages where there's this lizard. This was kind of funny to me. There's this lizard, and he's a mutant, obviously, right? And he's like, oh, just because the way I look, because I'm green, just because I'm green, people hate. And you're like, he's saying, I just go around murdering people and doing this and that, and they hate me because I'm a mutant. And it's like, no, they hate you because you're fucking going around causing chaos and killing people. That's why they hate you. Which I thought that was kind of funny. He's trying to blame it on, you're trying to blame it on being a mutant. No, it's your actions, be responsible for your actions. Don't try to look for something else, way out, basically. So then this mutant, he changes his opinion and he says, "You're right, it is my actions because I have superpowers and I abused of them." She's like, "We should be responsible for that." So he says, "I'm gonna use my powers for good now on. I'm gonna kill all mutants because we'll just abuse of our powers anyways. If you can abuse of it, so I'll just kill all of them." And it's because that way I'll be doing the right thing because I brought shame to all mutants by living the life I was living. So then it's like now you're freaking going to the extreme, the opposite way. We don't gotta kill all mutants. They're not all bad, and you don't gotta say that they blame you for everything just because you're a mutant. That's one extreme, and that's the other. And the narration here, I like it because it points out, like, believe it or not, people are this stupid. They're either just because you're a mutant and not like you, or when I have those people out there that are to that extreme, it's never their fault. And then we're gonna have the other people to the other extreme that are gonna be like, "Oh, it's just so, you're a mutant, so you're obviously bad." Like, so it shows both sides of the coin here, and it doesn't really say anything else. It just points out that both of those extremes are stupid, right? Which is totally accurate. Any extreme to one side or the other is just nonsense. It's right. The common sense is always somewhere in between. Okay, so that was kind of funny right there. And I don't know if this is gonna touch on the story later at all, but here this character never comes back. They never touch back on this. I think it was just like a quick pun to point certain things out. We talked to Wolfsbane's talking about how we're seeing how she's dealing with finding out she was brainwashed when she was in Genosha, and she's arguing with Polaris about, "Oh, what do you know about this?" and so forth. And Polaris, aka Lorna Dane, she's telling her, "What do I know about this stuff?" And then she tells her all the time she's been brainwashed by other people in past X-Men issues, right? Before she was X-Factor. And then Wolfsbane's like, "Oh, so you can relate to this. My bad. Like, you obviously been there too." She goes, "Yeah, it's about how you deal with it." So she goes to Moira McTaggart. She's kind of like a father figure to her, like a mother figure. Because she was, Moira McTaggart used to run the New Mutants school, and Wolfsbane comes from the New Mutants title. And McTaggart tells her, "I don't have time for this. I've been called by the X-Men to go." She's gonna be in the X-Men issues, what will be the Fatal Attraction stuff. So she has to leave, and she's like, "Oh, what a sorry excuse for a father figure, right?" So we see she needs some type of guidance at this moment. She needs some help dealing with this. She should go see Doc Sampson more often. That she needs that shrink more than anybody else. At least at this moment, you dig? So we touch on that. Then we go back to Genosha, where Havoc and the rest of the X-Factor, they're looking at these sick mutants, and one of them tries to escape. He's obviously sick, dying, so he's not a threat, but he can't pass this disease on to others, so they want to keep him in quarantine. And then when they catch up to him, he's like, "Look, I just wanted to, I'm not trying to save my life. I know I'm a goner, it's over for me." So he goes, "I'm just trying to not die in that fucking hospital. I want to die at peace where I choose." So he went to hide in some sewers and just relax on his own. So he's having, multiple men trying to save him, and he's like, "I don't want to be saved, let it be." And that was interesting. It was kind of like a depressing moment, that not the whole issue, but that part of, actually, yeah, the whole issue was fucking depressing. It was. Wolfsbane's whining about how she was brainwashed, but basically kind of saying like she got taken advantage of. And yeah, about how, maybe some people, it does go down like that. Sometimes you have family members, they're on their way out. And, they could maybe stick around a little longer if they stay at the hospital. Maybe you stick around a month if you stay at the hospital as opposed to a week at home. And maybe they'd rather be at home with family and not get those extra 3 weeks. So sometimes those, sooner or later, some family member gets caught in some type of disease or something in a bad situation. These decisions have to be made. And so you got to start thinking about that stuff, right? And that's kind of what this guy does here. I thought it was a good issue. It had some depth to it, and it had some where it kind of like, if you dealt with any of this stuff, you kind of go, deal with it, not deal with it, but you kind of get something out of it, like, wow, like you could soak it all in, like if you've been in those situations. So to someone that hasn't, it might not be as cool of an issue because there wasn't a lot of action. But yeah, so that was basically the gist of the book. I'm eager to see what happens with Miss Cooper. Who is this mutant that's controlling her body as we speak. My opinions on it were basically, this was written real well, and it tackled a lot of important subjects out there. And what I did here is it showed you both sides of the coin on every question it asked. Tackled a few, it asked a few questions, and it didn't give you one clear answer, like this is the right way, this is the right way. Because when they do that, sometimes it could be a turn off. Here it gives you both the multiple opinions, and then it's up to you as the reader kind of decide which one's the right path, right? So I like that it did that there. It was how can you say, like, sensitive to everybody's opinions in a way, like it kept it open to interpretation, and it also makes it free to debate. But nowadays you can't have debates without it turning into whining and arguing, right? But it left it open into interpretation, so you could debate the story when you read it with someone else, and you're both reviewing it. You could, bounce back and forth ideas and so forth. So I like that they did that there. It had some humor in there. It had just enough action, enough story. It was well balanced with humor, action, and serious moments. And like I said, it had multiple artists. All of them were solid artists as well. So yeah, this was a good read, and I guess I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to stay tuned for the second part, hit that subscribe button. That way it will notify you on your feed when the part 2 is up, right? The second half of the book being issues 92 to 100. I'll review that as soon as I finish reading the other half. All right, guys, thanks for taking some time out of your day about this book to hear me talk about the book a little bit and give some vague opinions out there. And I'll just check you guys out next time.